Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!
That's me, Tiberius! Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about surviving, a book about a kid magician and his friends, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Ybarra!
Thank you so much. It's really great to be here. Thank you so much, Tiberius. Wonderful.
You're welcome. And Ray is a media-preneur and works with young entrepreneurs.
Yes, and I've been working with entrepreneurs now for quite a while, especially the entrepreneurs from Shark Tank, which I'm excited to talk to you about today on your wonderful program. And thank you for having me, Tiberius.
You're welcome. And also today we're going to start off with the video of the week, and this is going to be a camp.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is You Probably Won't Survive. This game is made by Bad Game Dev. Okay, so this game was made by some other platform called itch.io, and you can find tons of games, like, I don't know, things. Okay, so first I get into the game, and I'm presented with trees and a campfire and an axe and a pistol. Then you have to stay alive from the zombies by making a base by chopping down trees. Then, if you get to wave 3, you get to have a pickaxe. Also, you can then get stone, and nothing can beat cobblestone, which is really cool.
Sounds great, man. Sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm. So you can also just like get a winning screen, and you just have to stay alive. And guess what?
What happens now?
So what happened is the last time I played it, I got to see the winning screen because I stayed alive. And it was fun. Well, really, I just built a wall around myself and ran from the zombies until the wave ended. Lol.
Well, it sounds like a really, really exciting game, and I don't know much about video games, but it sounds exciting the way you're describing it.
Okay. So I give You Probably Won't Survive 12 out of 10 stars because you can enjoy destroying your enemies and having fun, and camping just to win the game.
Awesome. That sounds awesome.
See David Smith Law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help people.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
That website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
And now it's time for the book of the week, The Magic Misfits. This book is written by Neil Patrick Harris. Let me read to the back of the book. In fact, Ray, would you like to do the honors?
Oh, I would love to, Tiberius. When street magician Carter runs away, he never expects to find friends and magic in a sleepy New England town. But like any good trick, things change instantly as greedy BB Basso and his crew of crooked carnies arrive to steal anything and everything they can get their sticky fingers on.
Ooh. So this is an air book that's worth 6 full points. It is rated for 4th grade and 8th month. This is a great book for kids that love magic and getting into trouble, like me. So Carter is a boy that is an orphan and is going away from someone, but who? This is not good. Well, then you're like, wait, what is happening, right? Well, let's go back in time. So Carter was a boy with fast hands, and he disbelieved in magic. But his dad, Lilo, loved magic. Then, one night, his parents went somewhere, and Carter was with a babysitter. And then 2 days later, his parents did not come back. Carter knew that they were never coming back. So then Carter had to stay on the streets with his Uncle Sly, and Uncle Sly stole money and jewels from people with optical illusions. Then the cops came, and then that was why he was running to not get caught, because he wasn't doing anything. Then he got on the train and got some mineral wells, and then Carter found Mr. Vernon, and he was a magician, and he was doing something with a coin like this. He was like, I don't know, had coin on one side, and then he just somehow flipped it 2 seconds later and to the other side, which is really cool. Well, I can't tell you everything, but it was a good book. Well, I give the magic.
Sounds exciting. Sounds really good, like a really great read.
Yeah, it's at least 274 pages, so it's really good. So, well, I give the Magic Misfits 10 out of 10 stars because it was really cool that Carter formed a team with Mr. Vernon and his friends.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com.
Now it's time for an interview of an interesting person. Today's is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Ray Ybarra.
Wow, what a great introduction. Thank you so much for that, Tiberius. Great energy.
You're welcome. And Ray's a media-preneur and works with colleges and young businesses along with many people that have been on the famous TV show Shark Tank.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I've been working with entrepreneurs from Shark Tank now for many, many years. I've gotten to know many of them. I'll be talking about some of them in this interview and segment. And I partner with a lot of great organizations and toured the United States with producing my panel presentations with these great entrepreneurs. So I'm looking forward to talking more about them today.
Okay. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
On your show here or working with the Shark Tank entrepreneurs?
On here.
Oh, I love it. You just great energy. For being so young, Tiberius, you remind me of, there's another great guy, Ryan Seacrest, who started really, really young like you, and you remind me a lot of him, and it's absolutely, your energy is incredible.
Thank you. So first off, you call yourself a media-preneur. Can you explain to my listeners exactly what that means?
Sure. A media-preneur is just I'm just basically someone who is engaged in all aspects of media. From my early days back way long a time ago, I produced and hosted my own broadcast radio show on one of the major radio stations here in Los Angeles. The local public access cable TV to internet streaming, producing and writing multimedia books, and producing and moderating my entrepreneur panel presentations, touring across the United States with some great entrepreneurs from Shark Tank. So it has anything to do with media, such as yourself, Tiberius. So that's what a mediapreneur is, and also becoming successful and generating income from all aspects of media.
Okay. What got you interested in doing this amazing work?
Oh, great question. Like millions of people who watch Shark Tank, I've always been interested in stories of people that are doing ordinary people doing extraordinary things, I will say, in the most positive sense. And so when I first saw Shark Tank, I said, wow, you only see about 10 minutes of the entrepreneurs on screen. And I wanted to get the whole story. I wanted to find out what they did to get on the show, what the show was all about, what it was like working, say, with a billionaire like Mark Cuban or Mr. Wonderful or Barbara Corcoran or any one of the Sharks. And I wanted to know what their personal story was. And so that got me interested in working with the entrepreneurs. And from there, it just really exploded, and it turned into live events and me writing a multimedia book. And I'm going to be producing my live internet television show here pretty soon, featuring a lot of the Shark Tank entrepreneurs. Now that my live segments and panels are on hiatus due to the pandemic, So I'm having to make the pivot just like a lot of other people, and I'm getting ready to launch my show just like what you're doing here.
Thank you. Okay, so how long have you been doing this?
I have been producing this part of my career here. It's been since 2012, I believe, 2011, 2012.
So
when I got
basically
the
when I was born. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. And so that's when I started this part of my journey, working with the entrepreneurs since about 2012.
Okay. So you got to interview all these people that have been on Shark Tank. So how in the world did you find them all?
Well, I saw the show, and I remember there was a segment on there that I saw one night, and there were two entrepreneurs that I really, really, really liked. They were Ice Chips Candy, and there was a guy named Rick Hopper from Reader Rest, a little product that went on your shirt where you can put your glasses in, your eyeglasses, and it would hold them. And I loved their segments, and so the following morning, that was on a Friday night. The following morning, I called them up. I did some research and said, "Okay, I want to talk to them. I want to do some segments with them," and that's what started the whole process. I called them up. I told them that I was producing a podcast at the time, and I said that I saw your segment. I want to talk to you, and from there it started. And then the idea just came to me right away. A title of a book, Conversations with Shark Tank Winners. There was a blank card right on my desk, and I turned it around and I wrote the title down of that book, and that's how it started. This whole thing right from there. I took immediate action. I went online and looked up the title of the book, and nobody had the book, so I registered it, and then I bought the domain name. Nobody had Conversations with Shark Tank Winners, and from there it just snowballed, and it just took off from there.
Wow. So what was the most interesting thing that you learned from all these interviews?
Wow. There's so many lessons that I learned, Tiberius, from speaking with the entrepreneurs. I think one of the most important lessons, if not the most important lesson, is they're never giving up. I mean, all of these entrepreneurs have had unbelievable experiences and obstacles that they've all had to overcome. I mean, just so many of them, from bankruptcy to being homeless, to losing their home, to losing just about everything. And they've all been through some kind of personal obstacle or a tremendous setback, and they never let it, they never stopped. They just kept going and believing in themselves. And just that's a whole show in itself, young man, about what they went through. It's just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was the coolest business that you saw and you really wanted to meet the owners?
Well, there's a really good friend of mine. They're all good friends of mine. I've become good friends with a lot of these great entrepreneurs over the years. And I think that Robbie Cabral, he's a dear friend of mine. He's the owner and the creator of an incredible product that he disrupted an industry that has not been disrupted in over 2,000 years, and that is the lock and key. Benji lock. It's the first lock that opens up with your fingerprint. And his story is absolutely incredible. He was at the Consumer Electronics Show in 2017 and 2018 with his little booth there in this product. And he beat out Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies to become the Consumer Electronics Show Innovator of the Year 2017 and 2018. And his story is incredible. He didn't know anything about creating the product. He learned how to use computer programs without being a computer programmer to design his product. It took him 3 years. And he went on Shark Tank, and all 5 of the sharks loved his idea. They wanted him, and the rest is history. He made a deal with Mr. Wonderful, with one of the biggest lock companies in the world, and Robbie Cabral is just an unbelievable experience, and I feature him in my free series that I produce, my free on-demand video series. He is in there, and his story is just absolutely phenomenal.
Wow. So I see that you turned your interviews into a conference and an expo. Can you explain to my listeners what is an expo and how does it work?
Yeah, well, an expo is a gathering, an event of industry leaders and uh, you know uh, all of the people that are interested in that particular event. And so what I did was I partnered with some of the biggest and most successful organizations for small business owners, for entrepreneurs, for business professionals, and so I was producing my and moderating my entrepreneur panel presentation where I was going to all the major cities and venues and featuring different entrepreneurs in different cities from Shark Tank. And I was one of the main stage speakers, and it was absolutely incredible. I was featured there with 4 or 5 different entrepreneurs in the different cities, and I would ask questions of the entrepreneurs, and they would talk to me about their stories in a live setting, and it went over extremely well. So a Small Business Expo I was a partner with, Network After Work group, and some of the colleges, as well as other great organizations for business professionals and entrepreneurs. And it really was a hit with everybody. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, it all shut down right now. But that's okay, because I made a lot of contacts and helped a lot of great entrepreneurs. I'm still doing that today.
Wow. Well, have you been able to interview any of the sharks from the Shark Tank?
I did in a different way before I started all of this. Probably about a year before I started this particular project, I did some segments for a magazine, and I had the incredible honor of doing some great segments with Sharks Barbara Corcoran, and Robert Herjavec. And I was working freelance for an entrepreneurial magazine, and I was able to interview them. I was able to do some great segments on them, and they were absolutely incredible. Robert was fantastic. He told his stories about how he came to America as an immigrant with his parents and his struggles. And then Barbara, of course, she was a real estate mogul in New York, and she started her empire with $1,000, and she became one of the most successful real estate moguls in New York. So they were both absolutely incredible. It was an incredible honor to do segments on them and speak with them.
Wow. So what did you do before you started to work with the contestants from Shark Tank?
Well, what I did was I produced a podcast in the media, and I produced a podcast where it didn't matter who it was. I mean, well, actually, going way back in the day, I had a broadcast radio show I produced and hosted with my wife. She was one of my producers as well. A broadcast radio show on one of the major radio stations here in Los Angeles, 870 KRLA. Way before your time, there was a program called Oprah Winfrey. Your dad would know who she is, and she was on television, and she was dominating television. And so I produced a 2-hour live call-in radio talk show on one of the major radio stations. And many of the guests that were on Oprah Winfrey's show, I was able to get them. Best-selling authors, world-famous best-selling authors in health and wellness. And then from there, I just produced as technology evolved. I went through local television and internet radio, and then podcasting and live internet streaming programming. So I've been doing a lot of different programmings, and that's what I was doing before I got into this aspect of what I'm doing.
So what is the best part about running your own media enterprise?
Well, you get to do what you want to do, right, young man? I mean, isn't it fun to be able to just do the show or produce a show or host a program and be yourself, right? You like being yourself and not having to answer to anybody. You have your vision. You like to dress how you like to dress, and you like to your personality shines through tremendously. So you can do those types of things when you own your own show, when you produce it. It's all yours. Of course, the work is it's a lot of work because you're doing all of it, but it's well worth it because you control it. You get to act how you want to act, say what you want to say, without someone telling you how you should act or how you should look or what you should say.
Okay. So, what is the craziest situation that you have run into while doing your interviews and expos?
Oh, uh, I was producing a live show, a live panel presentation for a big organization, the uh, NACI conference, the National Association for Community College for Entrepreneurship organization, the biggest organization um, for entrepreneurship for junior college students. They're a nationwide organization. They have over 300 junior colleges and thousands of members, big decision makers for their departments, entrepreneurship. And so I was producing a live presentation, and right when I was about to go on stage, or I was on stage, and I was going to speak. They had a video segment on there, and the segment was all in the wrong order.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't use it. So I just had to ad lib everything on the spot. But the good thing is that nobody knew what I was going to say. Nobody knows what you're going to say except for you. So it went over extremely well. But that was probably one of the most difficult and craziest things that has happened to me in a live situation, in front of about 600 people. I was speaking to in front of about 600 decision makers from across the country. Yeah.
Okay, well, what's the hardest part about running your business?
Well, I always say this. One of the things that I've learned from the great Brian Tracy, great entrepreneur, a best-selling author, he said that you have to separate the urgent from the important and learn how to do that to be successful. Everything is important, but the one or two things that you're going to do are that are going to make you a successful entrepreneur. There's going to be one or two, or maybe three things that are urgent, and so you have to focus on those things. You have to be really, really focused. And as entrepreneurs, we do a lot of the things ourselves. So it's just separating the important from the urgent, and being focused and being consistent on a daily basis to do those things that are urgent to make you successful.
Okay, so as you can tell, I run an interview show, and before you do an interview, do you have to write your own scripts and questions, or do you just wing it?
No, I don't. One of the things that I learned on broadcast radio, which was very, very difficult, that was the most difficult, the hardest thing that I had to learn how to do, was because you're multitasking everything. I mean, it's really from time clock management to listening to your engineer go to commercials, to your producer typing things on computer notes, to taking live calls with your guests and pacing them, and remembering questions when you come back from commercials. So it was that was the most difficult, was learning how to multitask, but I learned how to do that very, very well. So broadcast radio taught me a lot. It was difficult, but it was a tremendous growth that I obtained from producing that show.
Okay, so it says here that you are a business speaker as well as an author. Which of those jobs is harder?
I would say probably being an author, only because when you're an author, you have to, for me personally at least, Tiberius, I have to get in the frame of mind of writing. I have to prepare myself mentally and block everything out for an extended period of time, which can be difficult because so much of my business has to be tended to every day. And you know that producing your shows, that you have a lot of things you have to focus on. So that can be difficult because it takes a lot to focus and block everything out, because you have to write a certain amount of pages every day, and you have to block everything out. So that can be difficult.
Okay. So are you going to expand and continue to meet and interview new contestants from Shark Tank?
Oh, absolutely. Shark Tank is going into its 13th season now, and even more so, it's more important than ever, Tiberius, to keep speaking with these entrepreneurs, because of the pandemic and what they have done to pivot and what they have done to stay successful during this time. All the time. It's moving into season 13, and so I am always keeping in contact, always watching the show, always expanding how many entrepreneurs that I meet continually. And so, yes, I am.
Okay. So, what advice would you give my listeners if they wanted to grow up and run their own media enterprise?
Just find what you were great at. Find what you were great at. And what I mean by that, young man, is that for me, all of this started with the story. Sharing stories of, as I said earlier, in the most positive sense, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So sharing stories is where all of this started from. So the story is that's what I do best. That's what I'm great at. Um, and that's what helped me to produce all of these projects and work with the Shark Tank entrepreneurs is I found out what I was great at, sharing stories and producing segments with great entrepreneurs and great people. And so that's where it started for me. So find what talent you have, what you are great at. Sometimes it can take a while to do that. And you'll probably go through different avenues, what you're thinking that you have found it, but it's going to lead you somewhere else. But just keep going. Don't give up, and you will find it.
Okay. So, what is the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Well, I remember some years ago, I got into business with this one individual, and they weren't very honest with me. And because of that, they basically took everything that I owned because I didn't protect myself correctly. And it was a very painful experience for me. And but from that experience, I learned to protect myself legally. I learned to be very careful about who I partner with. And so I would say the hardest lesson is protect yourself legally and follow your intuition. If you have questions about working with somebody, don't be afraid to ask those questions. Even if they're very difficult questions, it's better to find out before something happens than when you're in a partnership with somebody and something bad can happen and you could lose it all.
Okay. Okay, so now can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show, but that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
Wow. Okay, the one story. That is a really good, and it's a very introspective and somewhat difficult question. But I guess the one story I can tell you was I was on live on air doing a show on broadcast radio, and for some reason, well, no, not for some reason, on the way to the studio that night, my car gave out, and I had to rush and catch a cab to the station. And I had about 30 seconds before I went on air, and I was out of breath, and I was all I was not clear about what I was doing because I had to focus about getting to the studio to do the show. So right when I put my headphones on, like you have, I gave the intro to my show, and I stuttered like crazy on air in front of thousands and thousands of people listening to my show. And I was really embarrassed, and my co-host, he started laughing, and it was kind of difficult for me. But when I look back at it, it probably was one of the best moments on my show because it was all natural and it happened. And so that's my story.
Wow. Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
Yeah, I guess I could let them know, Tiberius, that I have a free video series that I produced with 8 Shark Tank entrepreneurs, 30-minute segments, full 30-minute segments. It's a free series. All you have to do to get it is go to collegeentrepreneurmindset.com. That's collegeentrepreneurmindset.com. And just sign up for the series, and you'll get a full 30-minute video segment with 8 of these great entrepreneurs from Shark Tank that will really help you during this time. They talk a lot about the pandemic strategies, what they did to become very successful during this time. And I encourage everybody to sign up for it because especially now. So that's what I would like to say to your viewers.
Okay. Well, do you have Facebook for my listeners to want to follow you?
Yes, absolutely. Crush It Successfully. That's Crush It Successfully. You can go there and you can follow me there. And it'll just go ahead and sign up for that. And you follow me, and I'll be posting a lot of great things on there.
Okay. So what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
Oh, let's see here. Let me think about that one. You know what? I think that you have asked such great questions, that you were so prepared and thorough for my segment here, that you asked them all.
Wow.
I'm so impressed with you. When I see the future of podcasting, you are the future. And you keep going, young man. And as I said, Ryan Seacrest is the guy that I think is one of the most talented out there. He started at a young age like you, and you are following in his footsteps. And the future is bright with you, Tiberius. I've been so honored to be on your program and to spend time with you here.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ray, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
I sure can.
Yay!
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Tiberius's favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Well, thank you, Ray, for helping me with Math Corners. Today, we're going to talk about multiplying a fraction by 1.
Okay, sounds exciting. I'll see if I can do this. I wasn't very good in math at all, Tiberius, so I'll try to do my best.
That's what everyone says.
Okay.
So this time, we're going to work on fractions. We are doing fractions in school, and I kind of like them. So my dad told me that if I multiply a number by 1, I always get the same number. So now he showed me multiplying a fraction by 1. And well, this is interesting. So the number 1 is also the same as 4 over 4. And it can also be 6 over 6. And, or like any number, but it has to be the same number.
Okay.
So if I wanted to figure out the common denominator between two fractions, I have to multiply them by 1 to figure it out. So if I have 1/2 and 1/4, I can then multiply 1/2 by 2 over 2 and then get 2 over 4. Now that these two numbers have a common denominator, they can be added or subtracted. Now all because of the number 1.
Okay.
So you're like, well, what if the top number is 250 and I still want it to be 1? Then the bottom number must also have to be 250. So if I have 1/2 and 1 over 500, I can then times the 1/2 by 250 over 250, and then get 250 over 500.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think you lost me somewhere back on the 1/4 or 250 somewhere. So, unfortunately, I am absolutely lost at what you just said. But as I said, math wasn't my good strong point. And I'm going to do like Mark Cuban does on Shark Tank. I'm going to say, I'm sorry that I'm out of this deal because I don't know enough about this subject here. I don't know about enough of this industry. So I'm out. I'm out on this one.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Ray, for your help with Math Corners.
You're welcome.
As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about nobility. For me, I think nobility is remembering we are God's special possessions and acting in a noble way, showing courage and honor. The qualities of nobility are goodness, virtue, honor, generosity, and selflessness. I used Nobility this week by joining the Safety Patrol. I get up and go to school 15 minutes earlier so that I can be there and open the car doors for all the kids that come into school at the car line. We welcome each child by name and greet them while their parents drop them off. This is a great way to let the kids feel good in the morning and ensure everyone gets to class safely. This is selflessness of my time, as well as generosity of Mr. Ross and Mrs. Farron in teaching me how to be a good Safety Patrol member. So Ray, did you see or use Nobility at all this week?
Yes, that's really great because you actually reminded me of that, Tiberius, that I did do that. I just to let you know something about myself. I suffer from a serious chronic autoimmune disease, which is rheumatoid disease, and so it's a most people know it as rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm under very serious infusion therapy program right now to help me with this. And so I belong to an Instagram group, Arthritis Warriors, and so what I do is I post on there because people share their experiences about living with this illness. And so I do my very best to encourage them by posting very nice things on there, encouraging them, letting them know that I'm praying for them, that I'm with them, that I understand. And so that's probably, I do that consistently because I do this. They do the same thing for me. So yes, that's what I did do, and I do that on a weekly basis.
Okay. Well, we should always try to be a line strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And that's our show, folks. Someone think of the one, the only, the amazing Ray Ybarra for being on my show.
Oh, thank you so much. It has been such an honor to be here with you, young man. You are incredible, great energy. I had a lot of fun. I hope I, help some of are able to help some of your viewers here and listeners. And it has just been a great experience. You and your dad producing the show there behind the scenes, doing a great job. And I'm going to tell everybody about your show, about you. And I hope that sometime in the future we can do some more work together. It's a great honor to be here with you, young man.
Well, it's been so much fun talking with you today, and I hope in the future to see some of your interviews with people from Shark Tank.
I hope that too, and I hope that you will get to absolutely meet some of them and speak with them as well. And thank you so much for all of your support, all of your encouragement on the Tiberius show. And, as I said, I hope that we can do this again sometime in the future.
Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and subscribe. Also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius. Bye!